Yeah. George?
Chase.
Right when we got the BCS rankings.
Yes.
First time last week. We were like, okay, this shit gets jumbled, mumbled up again. Okay? Let's start with, we'll go down the top 25, and if you want me to shut the fuck up, just tell me to shut the fuck up. But Alabama is doing what they have to do.
Yeah, so all that bullshit talk at the beginning of the season that Alabama shouldn't be number one, how come it's gone away?
Yeah.
How come no one's saying it now?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what, next week you're gonna see if Alabama's the truth, and what I mean by that is because they have to play LSU.
Yeah, and they've got to, for the SEC, even though they had a lot of teams in the top 25, they don't have the depth that they've had in the past year. So I think if you're an SEC front runner like Bama, LSU, South Carolina can be in there now after this week because they still have a chance to win their side. But you have to get the job done because I'm going to tell you what, there's a strong probability that Florida State can run the table because they look so dominant and they only have ACC opponents left. Oregon can run the table because they look so dominant and they only have Pac-10 opponents
they got to play Stanford.
Yeah. Stanford actually looked really good. That's a good point. And that Ohio State will definitely run the fucking table.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I thought Penn State might pull the upset.
We thought
they got destroyed.
Wisconsin got through them. We thought Penn State could present a challenge. They destroyed them. And then the other thing I was thinking was Nebraska. And after Nebraska got beat by the Minnesota Gophers.
Golden Gophers.
Oh, don't let me get it wrong. It's a golden gopher. That's probably why they got beat. Because if it was a regular fucking gopher, they would have won the game. But the fact that they played a golden gopher, they got fucking
Florida State destroyed NC State. They had 35 points with 1:29 left to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, was that?
They had 35 points on the board with 1:29 left to go in the first quarter, and Jameis Winston had already passed for over 220 yards. Don't need to say anything anymore. They play Miami next week. Miami has struggled 2 weeks in a row, but 2 weeks in a row, if you're a Miami fan, you have to say, look, they've come from behind. Why are you behind to two unranked teams?
Yeah.
And this past week was at home. On the road is somewhat forgivable, but you cannot do that against Florida State. Florida State's going to put 8 people in the box and be like, young man, good luck beating us in there.
They're going to do that, and on the other side of the ball is Miami's, the U's secondary is battered up. They're definitely suspect. And now you're going up against a passing game that's just fucking crazy.
I'm going to tell you right.
Winston could put up fucking close to 500 points on a fucking ranked team.
Winston for Heisman.
Now, let's move on to Oregon because they just, they played the 12th ranked team in the country in UCLA and they went right through them.
And it was close. It was close all the way into like midway through the third.
And then the motherfuckers put on their fucking nitrous oxide, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, just blew them out of the water. So, and like Kevin said, Oregon is headed straight to the top.
Right. That brings us to Ohio State, straight to the top.
63-14.
That's the worst ass whipping Penn State has had since 1899. That's like some old ass Wyatt Earp days. 1899. That's not last century. That's the century before. I said 1899. That's like almost slave days.
I'm rewinding back to the worst ass whipping. I'm sure that there were worse ass whippings that happened at Penn State. There were. They weren't kept on a scoreboard. They were kept on notches on a bedpost, probably.
Thank God we're on the internet. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. South Carolina.
You disagree?
You know what? I cannot disagree. You know what I'm saying? And they're paying $60 million out. That's $60 million.
That's the other ass whip. That's a tough ass.
That's an ass whipping they got. That's actually the worst ass whipping Penn State got. That's $60 million they had to dish out for giving ass whipping. Anyway, South Carolina.
Can you imagine if your dick was worth $60 million?
I don't know. Fucking, there might be some porn stars that got 60 million, not 60 million. But
the males? I don't think there's a male porn star that's making 60 million.
No.
Do you know how long he'd have to be working?
Well, the problem is that, yeah.
Look how long his body of work was.
What do you think Ron
That was
Jeremy
decades.
Yeah.
A Kit Kat and a fucking heart attack?
Yeah.
That dude's got one foot in the grave.
Now, let me tell you something. If somebody in the porn industry, George and I switch it up, so get used to it. If somebody in the porn industry comes along that has a dick, and, and now, because the porn industry is so big, okay, and if they're like the Ron Jeremy of these ages, they could have a $60 million dick. Possibly. They could have a multi-million dollar
Trust
dick.
me, there's plenty of $60 million vaginas. They get paid ridiculous amounts.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to fucking the Missouri game.
Missouri was up 17-0, and they blew it in double overtime.
You blew it! What movie is that from?
They'll have to tell you. I have no clue.
Don't know. They fucking got these guys. Remember these people, they will be somebody. You blew it. They'll know. Watch.
Yeah. Answer.
It'll be first answer. First, and then somebody say, that movie, Kevin. Shut the fuck up and talk college football. Okay, go ahead.
Missouri blew it. I don't know. I mean, South Carolina, it's another case of the SEC beating up on the SEC. I have a feeling this is going to be the trend going forward, especially when you're only going to be picking 4 teams. Yeah. And I have a solution to that, and you don't need a fucking 13-person committee.
Which George and I'll be doing a video about sometime next week.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Why are they making this so fucking complicated when it doesn't have to be complicated at all? Mm-hmm. First off, bump it out to 8 teams. You bump it out to 8 teams, it's even that much easier. Mm-hmm. But don't worry. Condoleezza Rice used to play college sports, so she's definitely the right person to do this. You
know what's funny about that? I thought when they picked that committee, and we'll have to switch it off again, that everybody was going to be on Condoleezza Rice. Now, Condoleezza Rice, following her, she has been, before she was even had a position, a political position, she always said, in a second, that she'd rather do stuff for college football representing. She's been a huge advocate of all this stuff. I don't think a lot of people know her background with this.
I don't.
Yeah.
And to be honest, until I sat down and watched the game with her, I'd have to, cause if someone on this committee, I don't give a shit. Condoleezza Rice, Bob Jones, Tucky Tolbert. I don't know who else is on the fucking committee. I have to do my research.
Tolbert, that's a bad motherfucker.
But here's my issue. I want somebody who's going to understand that if a team wins 17-10, that the score is not indicative of what really happened. If the other team who scored 10 points got it all off turnovers. That means their offense was held to nothing. The only reason they scored is because the team who had 17 messed up.
Right.
Now, I also want that same person to understand if they watch a score that's 42-3, that could also not be indicative of what really happened if the team who scored 3 had 6 turnovers. Like, you have to be able to watch a game and understand that.
At the same time, you got to understand that there's some people are going to look at it like that, and there's going to be some people that are going to look at it like, well, 17-3 all turnovers, that's because their defense is incredible. There's always going to be
That's what I hope. I hope someone can look at it. I hope somebody, put it this way. I hope when it comes to fucking Tucky Tolbert's turn to go, and he just does this and goes, oh, look. Miami beat Wake 24-21. Must have been a close game. Oh, look. Clemson beat Maryland 40-27. But.
There goes Tucky.
Right. But did Tucky know at the halftime Clemson was only up 3 and they just looked horrible in the first half?
Right.
Like, I don't want that guy who's just going to read a box score. I hope these guys are held to some kind of standard. And I think that's what some of these analysts are looking at, like Danny Cannell. Danny Cannell's like, I don't want somebody who's just going to look at the box score.
Right.
Like, this is something like Danny
Cannell's a good analyst.
Motherfucker's sharp.
He's a really good analyst.
So that's what I'm worried about with the committee. But like Kevin said, we'll go into this in the future because this committee will be next year. So I mean, maybe it'll be this time next year when we talk about this. But anyway.
But,
Missouri blew it.
They blew it. And, you know, George said it. They blew it. It's not much more to talk about. It's sad because if they played like they played in the first half, that would have been an ugly game. Yeah. It should have been 48 it should have been a blowout. But with that being said, I still think they'd be in a fucked up position because I don't think they'd be able to beat, Alabama on the other side. So anyway.
And then you got Stanford going to Oregon State and Stanford winning, which lines them up for a date with Oregon.
Yeah.
And that should be
now where's that game being played?
Interesting venue. That's what I'm trying to find out. Next week. It's at home. 9 p.m. 11/7. Thursday.
Now, this is
timeout. They're playing this game on a fucking Thursday? Who did that?
It's gonna be big, son. Why is my shit? Look, did I ask for this shit to come on? Okay,
no,
look.
that's.
Okay, look. So
the future's leaving.
Ain't
that the truth?
If you guys could only see the shit in my monitor. You know, that fucking hit on the chin they took to Utah really fucked their season.
Not really. Not if they beat Oregon.
Huh?
Not if they beat Oregon, because look in the standings. If they beat Oregon, then they're tied. They both have one loss,
just got
one conference.
Beat by USC.
Who?
Utah.
I thought you said South Carolina played Missouri.
No, but I'm just saying this Utah. I mean, I don't know, guys. You guys have to figure it out yourself. But whatever the case is, yeah, God, it's a Thursday night game.
Thursday night. So a week from this Thursday. So that means Stanford and Oregon get almost 2 weeks off.
Yeah. Wow.
To tune up for this.
That could be scary for Oregon. But you know what?
Because Stanford stayed home last year and beat Oregon. They didn't, Oregon runs a lot of fast plays. They're fast moving. They do a lot of misdirection. And the key is your backside guys, when the play's going away, your backside guys got to stay home and play and be gap responsible. And Stanford did that last year. But they had a different coach last year when they played Oregon. Somebody who understood that. So we will see what happens.
Yes.
That's going to be a big one.
Miami.
It's going to get fucking shelled next week by Florida State, and I'm a Miami fan.
I'm a Miami fan too. I'd like to see them. I've been really pulling for the ACC, but I just don't see this happening.
Florida State's playing the national title.
Yeah. And one of the reasons is because the secondary. The secondary is just weak.
Stanky.
It's stanky. And Florida State, you're going up against a team that just fucking air it out all day.
Baylor beat Kansas in Kansas. No one gives a shit.
But I will say this. Baylor was ranked number 8. And seeing that Missouri took fucking loss at number 5. Miami had kind of what you could call a weak showing.
It's being generous.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're definitely going to see, without a doubt, you're going to see Stanford move into the number 5 spot. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Baylor at number 6, Miami at 7, and then.
When's Baylor gonna fucking play anybody?
They haven't played anybody.
Right. I'm looking it up now. Mm-hmm. Oh. They play Oklahoma next week.
That'll be a good
on
thing.
Thursday.
Now let's talk about
timeout. On Thursday night at 7:30, you got Oklahoma and Baylor, and then that gets followed up with fucking Oregon and Stanford. I'm calling out on Friday the 8th. I'm not going to be at work.
Sometimes it beats like that, puppy. What movie's that from? Fucking movie quoting the fuck out of shit today. Sometimes it beats like that.
On to the number 9 team, Clemson. We expected them to do a lot worse than Maryland. But I think what this does is show you that whatever's wrong with Boyd is messing up his throwing mechanics badly, because I don't know if he thought he was throwing the Sasquatch, the Invisible Man, or maybe Godzilla, but he overthrew everyone and real high.
Because no one's seen any of those.
He looked horrible throwing, but when he decided to take off running, Maryland was like, oh, there you go.
Well, their defense turned it on, but I'm going to tell you what, Clemson had another problem. That was in the first half, their defense against Maryland, because Maryland, you got to look at Maryland right now, and their number 1 quarterback out.
They're getting renamed MASH.
Yeah. Their number 1 receiver out. Their number 1 running back out. Their 2 best corners out. I mean, they're so banged up, and they managed still to drop 27 on Clemson.
It's got to be something in the water, man.
You know? Anyway, Texas Tech took their first loss to Oklahoma. I kind of thought that would happen. I don't think
to me, the upset of the century, the decade, this, in my opinion, has to be the biggest upset in Division I football history. Mm-hmm. This is worse than losing to a D2 team or an FCS team or whatever they are when they're just one step below. And if that makes me mean I don't know shit about college football, well, fuck it, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Duke traveled to Virginia Tech.
What's this shit always playing, man? Go ahead.
Duke football traveled to Virginia Tech. Uh-huh. Virginia Tech was ranked number 14. Virginia Tech was playing at home.
Man, don't be sleeping on Duke. Duke is for real, man.
This ain't basketball.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Duke beat them 13-10 in Blacksburg.
Look, man.
And I don't think Virginia Tech scored to the fourth quarter.
Look, but I'm going to tell you something about Duke.
Tell me.
You want me to lay it on you about Duke? Them motherfuckers are 6-2, man. I'm going to tell you all the motherfuckers they beat. They beat motherfucking North Carolina.
No. Do me a favor. Name one starter on their team. Just one player. Just give me one player's name.
Tyrone Biggums.
I don't care. To me, this is the crazy shit. Next to Krzyzewski letting his basketball.
Say that 3 times.
Krzyzewski.
Again.
Krzyzewski. Did you see the picture that came out about his basketball team?
No.
Y'all need to Google that shit.
Y'all, okay.
Actually, what you need to do is tell the motherfucker up in New York to grab the damn photo of the Duke basketball team with air assault machine guns.
That's you, Trey. Huh?
You didn't see that picture?
No. I did see that. Yes.
I was like,
holy shit, this is Duke basketball. Damn.
I was like, this has to be, you know what Krzyzewski did? He took all them Tyrones, put them in a closet, and sat down with them. Not a closet, but brought them into a little room and said, are you all retarded? Have you all lost your cotton picking fucking minds? You are all just dumb. It was in such poor taste. Such poor taste.
Kind of like poor taste by you saying retarded and not,
And cotton picking, yes. That was both poor taste, but I don't mean it in a derogatory, nasty way. That's the way I talk. But you'll never see me in a Duke warm-up going with a fucking machine gun.
Why can't we?
No, I can understand they can, and it's their right. But right now, as an athlete at that school with the message you're trying to send, you fucked it all up. That's not the message you're trying to send. And I understand it's their legal right to do that. But it's just, to me, that was in complete poor taste.
It wasn't. You're definitely right about that. Now,
Still the greatest upset in college history.
And you know what? I gotta agree with George.
When's the last time Duke? I don't think Duke's ever beat Virginia Tech.
People were just starting to talk kind of about Virginia Tech, how it was about Nebraska. They're like, okay, they took that one loss at the beginning of the season, but they're working their way back in there, and now they just are like, I don't know, man. They're just one of those teams that are sitting at 6-2, and I'm like, they're just so, like, they're ranked 14. Honestly, if they should be out of the top 25 after this.
They should be out of college football.
Texas A&M kicked the shit out of Vanderbilt. Johnny Manziel had another Heisman-like game.
Mm-hmm.
But so did everybody else that's in the running for the Heisman Trophy.
I'm still giving Winston the Heisman right now.
Yeah. And, you got a lot of other guys that are coming up now, too. Fresno State did what they did. 35-28 over San Diego State, who's not even ranked. I wasn't much impressed by it. Northern Illinois is a team that is having a very good season.
Yes, they are.
They remain undefeated at 8-0. They put it on Eastern Michigan, 59-20.
This was their first victory over Virginia Tech since the series started in 1981.
1981.
1981.
See, that's like not that Penn State shit. Penn State hasn't got their ass whipped since 1899. That 1899, that's like some 4-7 years ago.
Do we need to go back to the ass
Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop, because I'm with the ignorant motherfucker. This motherfucker's stupid, man. Okay, Oklahoma State, put it on Ohio. That's a new state. You ain't know about Ohio? Ohio is bad as shit, man. You should buy a house out in Ohio.
Yeah.
They're good. I mean, it's some good
you know what
property
team should play in Ohio? The Washington Bravehearts.
Mm-hmm.
That's
DC
a
Redskins.
horrible name, by the way.
Redskins?
No, Bravehearts.
Yeah.
Horrible name.
Good. Anyway, Oklahoma State won. Louisville won. They beat South Florida.
Oh, good for them. Bastards.
University of Central Florida continues to do.
Fresno State's still rolling.
Did I just say that?
Did you?
Minnesota. But this is another major upset. Minnesota beat Nebraska.
That ain't me.
Nebraska. I'm going to tell you what. Everybody's so high on Taylor Martinez and stuff.
Why?
George, I have to agree with you. Being a Nebraska fan, Taylor Martinez, Nebraska looked great. 3 games, Taylor Martinez is out. Nebraska looks great. They look like, wow, they can be in a running for the Big Ten championship, right? Martinez comes back. They lose to Minnesota. And they lost to the Golden Gophers. Don't get it twisted.
Brock Lesnar's moving to Canada.
Well, so you can have free healthcare?
Yeah, probably. Trying to fix his guts.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll put a heart in him.
What?
Isn't that the 10-man, or was it the Lion who didn't have a heart?
The 10-man, dude. Get it right, man. The Lion had no courage.
I don't think he has either.
Kind of like you in CrossFit when you go up against those little shorties that are fucking putting it on you.
Yeah, What happened to little shorty?
Yeah. Snap-a-doodle poppers.
Yeah.
We're out.
I feel horrible for it.
Man, push that. See, man, why you gotta put me on?
Kevin getting all nasty. See what happens when he thinks the camera goes off?
I beat his ass up.
Beaten and up. Yay. I am Tong. Me and him fight. I throw down. Big shout out to Matt Hamill. God bless. Good luck. And, good luck moving on with your career since the UFC let you go.